Introducing eAcademy Primary, an exciting new reading and literacy program for primary levels. The eAcademy Primary program consists of two key components: the eAcademy teaching software designed for classroom use, and the eAcademy app for students. The teaching software contains interactive multimedia lessons and activities designed for teachers to use in classrooms. These resources include starter readers and phonics, primary stories, songs, vocabulary, speaking and conversation, and grammar. Starter readers and phonics include a set of beginner readers and phonics readers, with each reader being accompanied by songs, flashcards, and games to boost students' learning. These will help beginners pick up the essential reading and language skills before they move on to the primary levels. Primary stories include a progressive set of storybooks in various topics and genres. These stories captivate students' imagination and are designed to stimulate their interest in reading. Each interactive story comes with Read to Me and Let Me Read functions, so it caters to every child. Furthermore, these readers are supported by pre-reading and post-reading activities like questions for discussion, quizzes, and games. In the songs section, students can sing along to the theme songs related to each storybook. They even have the option to change the lyrics and sing it as their own song. If they'd like, students can also learn to play the ukulele as they sing along to the theme songs. Basic lessons are included. The vocabulary section is organized around different themes and topics. The teacher simply chooses a topic, picks the list of words, and gets students involved in the say, listen, read, and spell activities. In speaking and conversation, students practice speaking through a wide range of situational conversation topics, such as saying hello, greetings, getting ready for school, meeting friends, family reunion, giving advice, etc. The grammar section provides an extensive set of multimedia lessons and activities, from punctuation to prepositions and tenses. With the game-based activities, grammar lessons are no longer boring and dry. With all these useful resources, students will develop strong listening, reading, speaking, writing, and critical thinking skills. Accompanying the teaching software is the companion eAcademy app. With this app, students have free access to more than 120 storybooks with progressive reading levels. With this program, you can now make reading accessible to every child in your school. Implement a school-wide reading program. Incorporate technology to implement shared reading in class using eAcademy classroom software. Develop independent reading for every child through the companion eAcademy student app. In summary, with the eAcademy, teachers are empowered to teach and students are empowered to learn. So what are you waiting for? Download now and enjoy a free 90-day trial. Introducing eAcademy Primary, an exciting new reading and literacy program for primary levels. The eAcademy Primary program consists of two key components: the eAcademy teaching software designed for classroom use, and the eAcademy app for students. The teaching software contains interactive multimedia lessons and activities designed for teachers to use in classrooms. These resources include starter readers and phonics, primary stories, songs, vocabulary, speaking and conversation, and grammar. Starter readers and phonics include a set of beginner readers and phonics readers, with each reader being accompanied by songs, flashcards, and games to boost students' learning. These will help beginners pick up the essential reading and language skills before they move on to the primary levels. Primary stories include a progressive set of storybooks in various topics and genres. These stories captivate students' imagination and are designed to stimulate their interest in reading. Each interactive story comes with Read to Me and Let Me Read functions, so it caters to every child. Furthermore, these readers are supported by pre-reading and post-reading activities like questions for discussion, quizzes, and games. In the songs section, students can sing along to the theme songs related to each storybook. They even have the option to change the lyrics and sing it as their own song. If they'd like, students can also learn to play the ukulele as they sing along to the theme songs. Basic lessons are included. The vocabulary section is organized around different themes and topics. The teacher simply chooses a topic, picks the list of words, and gets students involved in the say, listen, read, and spell activities. In speaking and conversation, students practice speaking through a wide range of situational conversation topics, such as saying hello, greetings, getting ready for school, meeting friends, family reunion, giving advice, etc. The grammar section provides an extensive set of multimedia lessons and activities, from punctuation to prepositions and tenses. With the game-based activities, grammar lessons are no longer boring and dry. With all these useful resources, students will develop strong listening, reading, speaking, writing, and critical thinking skills. Accompanying the teaching software is the companion eAcademy app. With this app, students have free access to more than 120 storybooks with progressive reading levels. With this program, you can now make reading accessible to every child in your school. Implement a school-wide reading program. Incorporate technology to implement shared reading in class using eAcademy classroom software. Develop independent reading for every child through the companion eAcademy student app. In summary, with the eAcademy, teachers are empowered to teach and students are empowered to learn. So what are you waiting for? Download now and enjoy a free 90-day trial.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. As we have requested, we would like to hear where you are from, the school that you belong to, and of course, your name. So this afternoon, welcome to our workshop about From Drills to Skills, Teaching English for 21st Century Learners, wherein we're going to integrate deep learning and 21st century skills in English for young learners. Our facilitator for this afternoon is Alan Davis. So to continue with our program, let me just show to you what our agenda is for today. So of course, we're going to be doing the introduction, which is now before we head on to the workshop. And then later on, we're going to have a question and answer, wherein if you have any questions about the workshop that has been conducted, you can type in all your questions, and then we will be conducting a survey. We'll be putting up a survey that's going to pop up on your Zoom, and we would like you to participate in that survey. And of course, before our closing, we'll be sending a Google form for your e-certificate. So we would like to know your name and also the email address where you want your e-certificates to be sent. So without further ado, let me just show to you our house rules. Okay, we are requesting everybody to stay muted. If you're not going to say anything about the workshop, we would like to request you also, if you have any questions later on, and when you are participating with the activities, to kindly chat in our Zoom chat box all your answers and any questions that you have. We would like everybody to be respectful of each other attending here, and we would like you to stay engaged So we would like to hear a lot of chat messages from our Zoom chat during the participation activity. And of course, we want you to have fun and stay positive. So let me introduce you now to our facilitator for the workshop. So Alan Davis is our curriculum and consultant and trainer also for Town for Kids. He's been in the education industry for more than 25 years now. He has conducted teachers training program in UAE and Thailand for the government. And he also conducted an 8 training session for around 800 teachers in Thailand that was done early this year, and worked in USA, Australia, China, Taiwan, Singapore, and all throughout the Southeast Asian. In February 2025, he facilitated also a workshop for the whole child education, integrating holistic learning in the digital era in collaboration with ECA in India. And in March 25, he commenced the teachers training for the Department of Education here in the Philippines. Now, most recently, July 25, he was a speaker for the online workshop about language and communication through play, building early literacy skills in collaboration also again with ECA Affair in India. So without further ado, let me give the floor now to Alan Davis.
Hello. Thank you for the nice introduction. Uh, 1 second, I'll share. Okay, yeah, nice to see all of you here today. I know it's tough sometimes to come to a training after a full week's work, so I'm glad you made the effort, and I hope you find it worthwhile. So as Angeli said, my experience includes working for about 25 years all over Asia, which does include some of the places where you guys are from, Philippines, Indonesia, and other places, mostly in Southeast Asia. I have a philosophy of learn it today and use it tomorrow. So I hope that you find something that you can actually apply in your classes next week. We will have a somewhat interactive training today, as interactive as you can be when you are online with 200 people. I will have some questions for you, and I would love it if you answer in the chat. I usually find that in these online trainings, we get about 10 to 20% of the participants will actually interact, and I think it'll feel more beneficial if you do try to interact because you have to pay closer attention, right? So today our training is going to be on moving from drills to skills, or how we teach English in the 21st century. So some of these ideas you've probably heard before, and some of them may be new. But again, I do hope you find something that is beneficial for you in the long run. So let's jump right in, shall we? Since we're talking about drills, here's some of the things we're going to be, some of our objectives for the day. We're going to talk about drill-based learning and what it means, talk about the difference between deep learning and shallow learning, and then talk about a relatively new model called the 6 Cs that we can then map to English language education. Finally, I will demonstrate a reading activity that has been where I talk about this 6C model. So let's start off by actually doing a drill. So this is a typical drill you might do in an English language classroom. And I'm going to do a very basic one here. So what is it? It is a pen. Everybody, it is a pen. Very good. One more time. What is it? Ah, I heard all of you. That was beautiful. So, what is it? It is a pen. What is it? Very good. Okay. Is it a pencil? No, it's a pen. Is it a pencil, everybody? Oh, very good. I heard you all loud and clear. So, I'm sure you've all participated in an activity like this. This is a simple drill, right? We have the teacher saying, what is it? It's a pen. Everybody repeats, it's a pen. It's a pen. It's a pen. On and on and on, right? We're practicing this pronunciation. Is it a pencil? No, it's a pen. Now, If I asked how many of you have ever done this, I'm sure there's 212 of you in here now. 212 of you would raise your hand. We all use drills. We use them in the past, we use them in the present, we will keep using them in the future. Why? Because they have some benefits. So I'm going to ask you now your first question of the training. What are the benefits of using a drill? What are the benefits of using a drill? So just give me one word or maybe a phrase that is a benefit of using a drill. And I'll just give you about 30 to 45 seconds. One word or a short phrase. Put it in the chat box. This is always the hardest part, is waiting for that first response. Will somebody respond? What are the benefits of uh, using a drill in the classroom? Maybe you can't think of a single benefit. Okay, I will go ahead and I got one here. What do we say? Oh, for mastery. Okay. I got a private one. You can actually answer to everyone. You'll see the everyone at the top. Okay, the answers are a little bit slow in coming in, so I'll go ahead and give you some of my ideas, and then when we see your ideas, we will go over those as well. So, a drill creates a very safe environment for speaking. We know that some of our students are very shy to actually. I'm only getting private messages. I'm not sure what's happening here. I don't know if that's my setup or the chat box is for everyone is disabled. Can one of the hosts please see if the chat box is problematic? Okay, I'll go ahead and continue, and I hope we can fix this chat box problem. So again, it creates a safe environment for speaking because a lot of our students are too shy to speak out, in public, right? Oh, I think the chats are working now. Okay, I think it's working. Okay, so this gives the student, I'm not pointing directly at a student saying, speak, 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 but everyone gets to speak together. Everyone doesn't have to worry that they're going to look foolish in front of the rest of the class. Next, it really focuses on accuracy, and the accuracy is in grammar and pronunciation, and of course, vocabulary as well. So everyone is saying the same grammar pattern. It is a pen. It is a pen. And they're going to hear it correctly from the teacher. They're going to hear their classmates saying it. They're going to practice forming the words. So it's a very good way to actually increase the accuracy level of the students. And then it gives you a good foundation for moving on to the next activity. So there are some very good benefits. So what are the limitations? I won't ask for comments this time. I'll just go straight into it. When we are using a drill, the student is very passive, right? The student is not really having to engage their brain. They are just basically mimicking the teacher or parroting the teacher. They're memorizing a small phrase or a bigger phrase and then repeating it without any kind of connection to life, to real life, or even to learning, to be quite honest. So it's just memorization without actually any kind of use. No connection to real life and no real thinking involved. And one thing I'll really talk a lot about today is engaging the brain. Because actually, in a lot of our classes, even though we're learning, we're not really doing any kind of high level thinking. We're not really making any special connections to other things. The more connections we can make in our mind, the more we will learn, the more we will remember, and the more we will be able to use it later in life. Okay, I'm going to try and see if this chat is working now, and I'm going to ask you to tell me, how often do you use drills? All you need to do is type a one, two, or three. One is never. Quite honestly, I'll be a little bit suspicious if I see some ones. Two is every lesson. Three is once in a while. I still don't think people are able to use the chat. I'm not quite sure why. I've never encountered this problem before. Oh, okay, I see. I think it's my fault. Let's try now. Ah, there we go. Okay. So sorry, my fault, my fault, my fault. Okay, I am seeing a lot of twos. I'm seeing some threes every lesson. Three, two, 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 two. All right, very interesting. I'm seeing mostly twos and then a few threes. Okay. For me personally, I am a three. I use it every once in a while. Probably, to be quite honest, I probably use it every lesson, but shortly, right? Just for a short period of time. Yeah, lots of twos, lots of threes. I'm glad I don't see any nevers because I think I would not really believe that you never use it. I even use drills on my one-on-one student just to make sure that they can repeat something with accuracy. So I'll never tell you not to use a drill. So when we say we're moving from drills to skills, it doesn't mean we're eliminating drills completely, because really, quite honestly, they do have so many benefits. What we're doing is adding on to these drills. It's not enough to just keep doing the drills and then doing the worksheets and drills and worksheets and drills and worksheets. We need to expand our repertoire. So I'm going to do another example activity that you might even know what it is just looking at it. This is sort of building on to what a drill is. So you can see here, I've got my backpack, and I'm going to ask you, what's in my backpack? What's in my backpack? Let's see if anyone can guess what's in my backpack. You can put it in the chat. Books, okay. Pencil. Oh, so I see it. The pen. Very good. The first one that wrote pen was Leica. Congratulations. So, yes, what's in my backpack? It's a pen. Everybody say, it's a pen. It's a pen. Good. So you can see I can even incorporate my drill to in this lesson. Okay, let's see if you can guess what else is in my pen. Oh, I already see it. I already see somebody guessing. There's so many answers coming in. It looks like Luzviminda, so sorry for my pronunciation, has guessed that there is a notebook in my pen. And indeed, that's it. There is a notebook. So everybody say, it is a notebook. It is a notebook. Very good. You can see the notebook is the same color as my backpack, yellow. So I have one more thing in my bag. I wonder if you can guess what else is in my bag. This one's a bit tricky. Cell phone? Probably, but nope. Sharpener? Book? Hmm. Water bottle? You're getting, oh, somebody said snacks. You're getting closer. I'll give you another second. Lunchbox? Close, close. Biscuit? Oh, very close. Oh, you got it. Danith. Danith, you got it. Congratulations. I have a sandwich in my backpack. I have a sandwich in my backpack. So now I'm going to follow up this with a question. I should have actually done it at the beginning. I just got ahead of myself. Do you have a pen in your notebook? Do you have a pen? Raise your hand if you have a pen in your notebook. Ah, good. Oh, in your in your book bag, sorry. Do you have a notebook in your book bag? Do you have a sandwich in your book bag? So you can see I'm still teaching the grammar. It is a pen, it is his notebook, it is a sandwich, but I'm actually connecting it to something that students can relate to, that they may actually enjoy participating participating in that actually creates within the brain and to a real life activity. So I'll give you an example of what this looks like. So first we start off, what's in my bag? It's a pen. Do you have a pen in your bag? Yes. No. I can do the same with the notebook. I can do the same with the sandwich. A nice follow-up with this is to ask for a volunteer to bring their bag and to ask the same kinds of questions. So the students that are very keen on participating can join in and be the leader of that activity. Okay, very good. Oh, some of you are saying, yes, you have a sandwich in your bag. That's good. Okay, so what do you have in your bag? Obviously, with 200 participants, we're not going to go into everyone's bag and see what's happening, or we'd be here for 24 hours. Okay. So this leads us into a discussion of what is the difference between a deep learning and a shallow learning. So, shallow learning is really focused on rote learning or memorization and repetition. So, we hear it, we repeat it, we memorize it. So, I'm learning this phrase, it is a pen. Hopefully, tomorrow, when I say, what is it? You can say, it is a pen. And hopefully, later on the test, you can say, it is a pen. So, I'm memorizing, I'm repeating. Deep learning is on making meaning. So I want to know more about this pen and what's the meaning behind this pen and how I can use it and what color is it and can I borrow it from you and all of these other connections that make meaning. Shallow learning is focused on discrete items. So separate items. It is a pen. It is a notebook. It is a watch. It is, these discrete things. It is a noun, a verb, an adjective. It is a continuous verb, all of these things. Whereas when we're talking about deep learning, we're talking about making these connections, Connections, again, to other things in the environment, connections within our own brains, so that we remember in a broader way. Shallow learning is assessment based. So we are teaching for the test. We're teaching the student to be able to write pen, fill in a blank, pen at the end of a sentence. It is a, right? So we want students to pass the test and we want them to get a good grade. So we are teaching them what to put on the test. Whereas deep learning is more concerned with real life issues. Again, making these connections, right? Now, I'm not saying we can no longer do rote learning or discrete items or assessment based, but we need to combine this with our more broad learning goals. Shallow learning, focused on the theory, on the rules. Deep learning, more on how to apply it in real life or simulated situations, at least. In the classroom, we're more talking about simulations, isn't it? Okay. So again, I want to emphasize we're not discarding all of these things we've been doing for the last 50 years, right? We're not saying no more assessment-based or discrete teaching. It's just we need to add on to that. We can't, of course, go into our class on Monday and radically change everything because we have to follow our curriculum. We do have to think about grades. We have to think about all these things. But how can we make it a more meaningful experience to the students? Okay, question. This is the hardest question for today. Complete the sentence. Deep learning is. You can write one word, you can write a full sentence. I'm going to give you about 45 seconds to a minute to complete this sentence. Deep learning is. And I'm going to stop sharing for just because I'm having a problem with my screen here, and then it'll pop right back up. Oh, very good. So what is deep learning? Deep learning is, oh, good. Deep understanding, good. Reflection, the best method, good. Hands-on, learning by doing, transfer learning, understanding deeply, good. Wow, you guys are really good at answering these questions. Deep learning is interactive, authentic learning. Deep learning is important because it encourages learners to think. Oh, this is my favorite so far. Good, think. I'm always happy if someone says the word think or brain. Okay, perfect. These are great answers. That means I'm doing a good job, I think. Authentic learning. Perfect, perfect. Okay. So let's go ahead then and move on and talk about the 6 C's. So the 6 C's are a program or a framework, I should say, developed by Michael Fullan. And if you Google Michael Fullan, you can see a lot of his material, very interesting stuff. And he says that these 6 C's are 21st century skills for students and society that promote well-being and learning. So some of these C's you might recognize because previously we always talked about the 4 C's. So he's taking these 4 C's, which were critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication, and he's adding character, education, and citizenship. One thing I think he's missing here is digital literacy. So, but I guess there's no C word for that. So that's why he doesn't have it. So let's talk about what each of these means for education broadly, and then I'll go more into the specifics of what it means for English language education in particular. So communication is being able to express yourself. Yeah, that's pretty much it. How to express yourself, how to communicate an idea, how to get people to understand what you are saying or writing. Critical thinking is being able to analyze, being able to compare, being able to evaluate. So when I read something online, in the newspaper, in a book, what does it mean? What is it valuable or not valuable? Who's saying it and why? Creativity. Creativity is one of the most important traits identified by CEOs in a survey a few years ago. Creativity is the ability not just to paint the Mona Lisa or to create a nice video, but to problem solve, to think about things in a new way, to think, as they say, out of the box. So creativity is an important tool. Collaboration. A lot of people confuse collaboration and group work. Group work, you are doing something together. Collaboration, you are creating something together or solving a problem together or working together to do something. So group work, filling out a worksheet. This is group work. Collaboration is working on a solution to a problem, something like that. So the two new ones, as far as, well, somewhat new, at least in this collaboration, is character development or character education. We have something we call SEL or social emotional learning, which has been trending in the last 15 or so years in education. And this ties into character. So character development is basically thinking about our emotions, about how we act, about how we react. Citizen is more of a global understanding. So not how it affects us personally, but how we impact the world. This can be at a very local level, just in the school, could be at a little bit more in the government or in the city in which you're living, and could also be global proportion. So how do our actions affect the global situation? So for pollution or other areas like that. Okay, good. So let's now think about it in terms of the 6 C's in primary English education. So critical thinking, like I said, comparing, evaluating, and making choices, but here with language. So in an English class, we can apply this by using comparative adjectives to compare two animals. Which one is fastest? Which one is biggest? Which one is the scariest? Okay. By the way, all of my applications have something to do with animals. So I just assume we're teaching animals this week, and here's what we're going to use it for. Creativity is using language to create and solve problems. So what kind of language do we need to use in order to create? My application here is to think about a new animal. So the student can create their own animal individually or in a group and use it can or it has sentences in order to describe this animal. Actually, I've done this activity a few times. It's quite fun. Students get a kick out of it. Collaboration means working together to do something or solve problems. So in English, we need to learn the language of collaboration, which means, can you tell me, or do you understand, or can you share? These kinds of language patterns that we use to collaborate with others. My application is to use an information gap activity. So one person has more information than the other person. So they need to share in order to come up with a solution. So here I said we could put animals in their habitat. So where does a lion live? Or what does a lion eat? So we can create a table or a chart or a map even where we're putting animals into their respective habitats. Communication. Of course, this is one of the goals of our English classes, right? Is to be able to get students to express meaningful ideas in a variety of modes. Now, the key word here, anybody want to guess what the key word is in this sentence? Let's see, I just need one answer. No, well, express is good, but that's not the one that makes it special. What makes it really special? Very good. Okay. Meaningful. It's very meaningful, right? Because in our English classes, is a drill meaningful? No, it's not meaningful, right? So we want to have something that is meaningful. Learning about nouns is not meaningful to most students, maybe to some of the students. So we want to express meaningful ideas in a variety of modes. Modes means writing, speaking, chatting online, all of these different ways. So here I said, give a short presentation about an animal's life using the simple present tense. So this is a meaningful thing. Students may really care about this. They may be able to make a connection to this. Citizenship. Learning about our impact on the world. So how does our behavior actually affect the community? And again, it can be the community of the classroom, the community of the school, the community of the county, the community of the Philippines or Indonesia, or the broader global impact. For here, I said we should use, we should or we shouldn't sentences to talk about animals in the wild. So we shouldn't shoot rhinoceroses because they are endangered. And the last one, character or character development. Expressing our feelings using English, showing respect, showing resilience or grit, and of course doing it all in English. This one doesn't have to do with animals, but using simple sentences in a feelings chart. And of course, we could do, if we have a story about animals, we could talk about the animals' feelings and how they overcame or dealt with their strong emotions. Again, you might have heard the term SEL. It relates to this directly. It's really the same idea. So now let's go back and talk about our two activities that we did earlier. We did a drill and then we did the guessing game. So let's map out how the 6 C's work with this idea, right? So communication. In a drill, it's just repetition, repetition. So what's missing here is that meaning, the meaningful. It's not meaning, it's just boring. Whereas in the guessing game, it's more meaningful, right? I may actually be interested to know what's in the teacher's bag, and I'm interested also in sharing what's in my bag or what's in my friend's bag, right? Collaboration. In the drill, not applicable, right? We're not collaborating at all. We're doing something together, but we're not collaborating. We're not working towards a goal. Whereas in the guessing game, we're collaborating in a way, right? I'm listening to my classmate. If my classmate says notebook and the teacher says no, I'm not going to say notebook, right? That makes no sense. So we're collaborating in a sort of a way, right? We may even be asking our classmate, what do you think it is? Something like that. Critical thinking, not applicable at all with the drill. We're not thinking at all. We're just like a parrot. A parrot doesn't really understand the words that it's saying. It just blah, blah, blah. But with the guessing game, we're making predictions, which is a critical thinking skill. Being able to judge. The bag is so big, so an elephant cannot fit in the bag, so it cannot be a bag, right? So I'm using higher order thinking skills in order to guess what is in that bag. It could be a bowling ball. It's probably not a bowling ball, but it could be, right? It would fit. Okay, creativity, imagine. What's in the bag? I have to use my imagination. Citizenship, not applicable in the drill, also not really applicable in the guessing game. The actions that we're doing here are not going to have an impact on the world at large. And I want to just point out that when you are doing an activity, and if you are mapping your activity to the 6C framework, you're not going to get 6 out of 6 every time. It's impossible. Not impossible, but it's unlikely, right? So if you can get 2 or 3 of these C's, if you can get students to communicate and collaborate in a meaningful way and to use a little bit of creativity, that's great. You did a great job. If you get them to think about how their actions affect other people, and then they're also doing some creative activity, perfect, great. You got 2 out of 6. So don't think you have to get all 6 of them every time. It's impossible. The last one, character. Of course, in the drill, not really applicable. In the guessing game, a little bit, because we have to respect what our classmates are saying, not be rude, not speak out of turn, that kind of thing. So I'm a little bit stretching it here on the last one with character. But you can see that the guessing game has a bit more meaning than the drill. Okay, so I made a little checklist that you can actually use. You can take a picture of it if you want to, or I will be sharing the slide later. But I'll give you the opportunity to take a picture if you are so keen. You can use this when you're planning a lesson. And it just simply is asking a few questions. Do students express meaningful ideas? I should have bolded that. Yes or no? Do they compare, analyze, or evaluate information? Yes. Do they create something or explore or do some problem solving? Yes or no? Do they work together on something? Again, not group work. Having some kind of a goal. Do students think about how to make the world better? Do they reflect on their feelings, their actions, and how these may impact the other people in the activity? So a nice checklist that you can use. And let's go ahead and apply this right now. I want you to think about your classes from last week. How many of these checks do you get? How many checks do you get if you think about your classes from last week? So you can just do this for yourself. If you want to share, you can, but you don't have to share. And I'm not going to give you very long. I'm only going to give you just a few seconds just to think about it. By the way, what kind of activity is this we're doing now when we reflect on our actions of the last week? This would be a critical thinking activity as well as possibly citizenship. How did you impact your class? And even maybe character, a little bit of character. Okay, good. I got a 5. That's good. Very good, Melissa. 5. Okay, 4. Good. Again, you don't have to share. It's up to you, but it's more of a reflective activity, good activity for you to develop when you are doing your planning. Okay, I'm going to move on now to approaches to teaching with the 6C method. Number 1, projects. I love projects. Projects are very useful for applying this framework because projects are very nice to collaborate on. They also bring in all of the things that you've learned. All of these discrete items that you've learned can then be brought in to utilize to do some kind of a project. If I had my choice, I would do projects the whole year with nothing else because I really love doing projects. Um, of course, I know for most of you, doing a huge project is quite difficult, but it is possible to do some short projects, maybe one class every 2 or 3 weeks do a project, or you can break a project down so that you're just doing a small bit here and there. So maybe on Fridays for 15 minutes, you work on the project, and then the next Friday you contribute more to it. Could be like an ongoing book, could be an ongoing look at the environment that you're learning bits and pieces as you go along. So we can do short-term or long-term projects. Of course, collaborative activities ties right into collaboration. I just wanted to put it here because there are a lot of ways to even change a group work into something that is more collaborative. So for example, instead of giving a worksheet and then comparing answers, you can ask your students to create a poster that uses these phrases or items that they are learning. Or even give a problem and have them try to solve it using the language that you learned in class that day. Bring in real world issues. Now, a real world issue to a 10-year-old is different than a real world issue to an 18-year-old or a 30-year-old or like me, a 60-year-old, right? So a real world issue to a 10-year-old may be, why is maybe not why traffic is so bad, but how to make the bus more comfortable, or what kind of playground equipment they would like to see at their school. So something that the students can actually relate to. Now, we can bring in the bigger issues, of course, because we want students, even at 10 years old, to start thinking about the environment. But on a more local level is probably good, and what they can actually do to solve some issues in their community. Include reflection and sharing times. So students can actually think about what happened in class and their contribution or their impact on the class, and let them share that with you or others. I had one class where I had them write a journal every Friday for about 10 minutes. And some of the entries were quite interesting. Some students that I wouldn't have expected to have much of anything to say really surprised me with their responses. So with this class, I had them write in their journals, write whatever they want about the class. And then I got to read it, but I was the only one that got to read it. Okay, and stories. So I'm going to talk about stories for the rest of the time, so I won't go into detail here. And I just want to know, which of these activities have you used in your class? And you can just put a number, so this one's easy to respond to, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or you can just put ALL, all. And again, I'm not going to spend too long here, just a few minutes. All, very good, okay. Two. Oh, two's the popular one. Okay, 1, 3, 5. Good. All. Wow, you guys are amazing. 1 to 4. Good. Okay. Okay. For anybody that has not used a story, good. I'm very happy that we're going to do a story here. Often 1 and 3. That's good. Okay. Whoops. I got lost. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Oh, 1 to 5. Good. Okay, so let's talk now about story and story activities within this 6C framework. Stories really adapt well to this framework because either it's within the story itself or you can add something to the story experience to get students really involved in the class. So, communication, listen to the story, retell the story, read the story, act it out, create new dialogue, practice the dialogue in class. You can go on and on and on, talk about the story, ask questions, right? So you can go on and on and on with communication and storytelling because a story is really meaningful communication. The author is communicating with you, with your students in a meaningful, hopefully meaningful way. Collaboration, get students to talk about the story in groups or to create a story, or when you're acting it out, they're going to be doing collaboration to do all of these things. Creativity, change the story, rewrite the story, extend the story, ask students what they would do in this situation. So again, you might see also when I'm talking about some of these that they may fit in 2 or 3 of these areas, right? Critical thinking, compare, predict, or solve problems within the story. And I'll give you some examples of this in just a minute. Character, explore values in the story. It could be kindness, honesty, perseverance, could be overcoming challenges, could be, all kinds of things that happen within a story. And do you relate to the character? You can ask students if they relate. What would they do, again, in this situation? So we can really go do a lot of character development by looking at stories and the good or the not so good actions that the character carries out. And lastly, citizenship. Depends on the story, right? Within some stories, there is an awareness of community, environment, and global issues. So we can highlight these as we are moving through the story. Okay. So in class, when we usually have a story, how do we do it? We teach the vocabulary. We get students we might teach some grammar patterns as well that you're going to encounter. We may do like kind of an overview of what they're going to see or read. We can predict the content. This is a very common practice now. And this is, of course, critical thinking already. We can then read the story. Lots of ways to read the story. Teacher reads, student listen, reading aloud, which some students really hate, but some of them like. Reading to each other, shadow reading, the teacher reads, the student repeats. Reading one page at a time and asking questions, reading the whole story and then asking questions. And then we get to the end and we do comprehension questions or questions of understanding. So he was born in 1989. When was he born? 1989. That's a comprehension question. Sometimes comprehension questions are basically just pointing, right? So you can point and find the answer immediately. Other ones you have to think a little bit about. So even a comprehension question can be engaging at a higher order level of thinking, right? But can also just be what I call point and shoot. Okay, so we're going to look at this story. This story is from the E Academy. I will open the E Academy in a minute and show you where it's at there and how it's a little bit different when you're online, or not online, but on the computer. So this story is called Alvin the Superhero. So if I ask you to predict what's going to happen, you can look at the picture and tell me what you think might happen. We're not going to do that though. So I'm going to read it. If someone likes to read, by the way, I'll let you read the next one. Oh, no, I think you can't. Sorry. But I'll read the first one aloud, and then the next one we'll read silently. So, Alvin the superhero jumped out of bed one day. Today, I'm helping everyone in every possible way. He put on his cape and his mask. Off he went to try and do some good and helpful tasks. There weren't any bad people or dragons to defeat, but he saw a dear old lady waiting to cross the street. Okay, so I'm going to ask some comprehension questions first. Now, by the way, I probably wouldn't ask any questions in my class at this point, but just because we have a shortage of time and I can't go through the whole story, I'm going to show some examples of comprehension questions. And by the way, I don't even really need you to answer it, but if you want to, you can. So what did Alvin decide to do after he woke up? Okay, so he jumped out of bed and then he decided to help everyone. That's his goal, a very unrealistic goal, right? This one requires a little bit of thinking, not too much, a little bit. What did he put on? Oh, where is it? Put on. All I have to do is find the word put on, and I see the answer. His cape and his mask. This one is what I call point and shoot, right? You just find the keyword and you just write what follows the keyword. Who did he see? He saw a dear old lady. So in this case, I need them to understand the past tense and the present tense. Some of you are very fast. Okay. So these are my comprehension questions or understanding questions, but I'm more concerned with higher level stuff, right? So I'm going to ask some critical reading questions as well. So why do you think he wants to be a superhero? Now that's a bit more difficult, right? Students have to use their imagination. They have to think of their own characters, and they also have to think a bit critically, right? What goals could he have in his head? So this is much more challenging question and a much more making those new connections, right? So that's what we're really concerned with, is making these new connections. And then what do you think will happen next? This is a great question. You can always ask this question. This is the best question for stories because students love to guess what's coming. Maybe he saw a TV show, maybe son, yeah. That's probably right. You know, he saw Batman or something like that. Okay. Okay, so that's my critical reading questions. So the point here is you don't always have to ask the same what happened exactly, but what's going to happen or why did it happen? Okay, this time we're going to do silent reading. I'm going to let you read it. I'm going to give you not so long, maybe just a few seconds to read it. Okay, again, comprehension questions. What did Alvin do to the old lady? He dragged her across the street. So this one is a little bit higher level, right? Was she happy? You don't even have to read it to see that she is not very happy. She's not very happy. And then creative thinking question, or we could call this a character development question as well. What would you do differently if you were Alvin? Or what would you do differently if you were the old lady? They have to think to answer this one, right? And then we also have some citizenship question. Why are signs like "don't walk" useful for us? So this one is asking about our impact with our environment, right? And we all know if we don't follow the signs, we can have trouble. And you may notice a recurring theme of that in this story. And then how would you feel, our character question, how would you feel if she yelled at you? Would you feel happy? No, probably not. But he looks a little defiant, right? Like, "Ugh." Okay. With this one, I want you to think if you can think of a question, not a comprehension question, but a critical thinking or a creative or a question about character development. Let's see how many we can get in just the next few seconds. Just maybe two or three questions since the time is a little bit short here. Uh, what all the, yeah. How many, why are all the animals in the cage? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Do you think, oh, very good. This is like a really philosophical question, isn't it? Or a citizenship. Do you think kittens should be sold? What power does the hero have? Very good. What might happen to the kittens after he let them out? Yeah, exactly. Are they better off in the cage or outside of the cage? That's a very good question, right? If you are the shopkeeper, how will you react? Yep, good. Okay, good questions. Yeah. So the point of all of this is that we don't always have to say how many kittens were in the cage, which is a good question, but better to think about what will happen to these kittens when they are freed. So good ideas, guys. What do you think is the main theme of this story? What is the main theme? And you can see lots of pointing at, what are they? Lots of pointing at signs, right? So, uh, wow, so many good questions coming in. I'm sorry, I don't have time to read all of them. Oh, is Alvin really helping people? Thank you, Leica. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. What is going to occur next? Oh, very good, because that's always a good question to ask. So, main theme in this story, as you can see, is Alvin's not really reading the signs. I'm not going to read the whole story, but you can see obviously he was feeding the ducks. He was on the grass when he wasn't supposed to be. He got on the tracks, which is very dangerous. And apparently he walked into the ladies' room. So not reading signs is not very good. Oh, yeah, that's right. The importance of reading and understanding what you read. Exactly, Rowinda. Okay, how do you think this story will end? Just think about it to yourself. I think for me, I could pretty much tell where this is going. Wow, you guys are really doing a good job here. I wish I had time to read all of your responses. Okay, so yeah, here's how the story ends. If only I could read these signs, I wouldn't look such a fool. So what does he do? The next morning, he goes back to school. So the lesson is stay in school, kids, and learn how to read. So it's a very good lesson in a lesson for citizenship. Yeah, very good. So can Alvin read? Yep. Okay. Again, the point of me doing all this is just to show that a story you can do more than just understand a story, right? More than just comprehend what is on the page. But we can do some really deep diving into the story to get a deeper understanding about the story, how it connects to me as a person, how it connects to the broader world in general. Okay. Oh, do you think Alvin made a good choice? Of course. Going to school is the best choice. So we can follow up this kind of a story by getting students to offer advice to Alex. What could he have done better? What should he have done? So we can use the English to talk about should and could and would and all of these nice the modal words. We can have students interview Alex after the incidents, right? So one student pretends to be Alex, one student is the interviewer, and he can ask him how he felt about what happened. Have students write a story about mistakes they made or question students about whether the story has any relevance to them. So we can follow up this with a lot of different activities. Of course, we could also have students act out the story. We can have students write a song about it. I know for the Filipinos in the audience, you guys love to sing. So get the students to write a song about Alex and sing it to the class. I think that would be a great activity. Okay, so lots of things you can actually use the story, both that will fit all of the 6C framework. Sorry for my English. Okay, I'm just going to show you what it looks like in the actual program. Give me 1 second here. So first of all, when you open it, you see here, I click right on stories. I find Alvin the superhero, and then I have all of my options here. I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm going to show you a little.
Alvin the superhero.
Just want,
Alvin the superhero.
okay. I just want to show you what it looks
Alvin the
like.
superhero jumped out of bed one day. Today I'm helping everyone in.
Okay, so you can see what it looks like. I want to do read by myself. I made a mistake.
Alan, I think you're not sharing the software yet.
Oh, really?
Yep, yep, yes,
Okay. Sorry,
yes.
sorry, sorry, sorry. Oh, because I restarted the sharing and I didn't share the. Okay, okay, okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, can you see it now? Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I'll go back and show you where I found it. Here it is. Opening.
Alvin the superhero.
You can read it for you, or you can read by myself. I'll do this one. When you read by yourself, you can just click.
He put on his cape and his mask.
Okay, and you can see very easy to maneuver.
The park warden shouted, "Can't you read the sign? Wild ducks can't eat human food. It will make them sick."
Okay, very good. Now, we have lots of activities that are already tied to this program. So if you don't have time or you don't have the inspiration to come up with some activities, you can find some things in here, right? So some of them are questions.
Questions for discussion.
And this is kind of what I was talking
Alvin the superhero.
kind of what I was talking about.
What did Alvin want to do as a superhero?
I always forget. I have to listen first. Listen is a good part of communication, right? So we have some questions here already.
Describe the silly things that Alvin did. Why do you think his actions were wrong?
Okay. For the sake of time, I'm just going to pull up the questions here. Now, I'm going to say A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E. Which of these questions is a creative question? What do you think? A, B, C, D, or E? Which of these is creative? We're asking students to be more creative. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, good. Very good. B is definitely creative. I would say all of them are a little bit creative, but definitely B is a creative one. How about critical thinking? Critical thinking. A, B, C, D, or E? E, good. C, yep. Yeah, actually good. A lot of these are more critical, not just comprehension, but they make you think a little bit. Let's do one more. Character development. Which one is more character, based on the character? Oh, it's hard to tell which one you're answering. Okay, yeah, good. Definitely D. What lessons did he learn at the end of a day? Also, do you think it's important to go to school? So, do you think it's important to go to school is also a question for what? Is this a creative character? Civil. I'm saying civilization. It's not civilization. The broader context. Good. Higher thinking. Yeah. So all of these. Citizenship. That's the word I'm looking for. This is also a citizenship one, right? Yeah. Good. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. So you can see, if you want to, you can just go into the program and use the questions they've already created for you. And you can, of course, have the lady read them.
Describe the silly things that Alvin did.
Or you can read
Why do
reread
you
them.
think his
Okay.
Train spotting. Help Alvin spot the train carriage with the correct answer.
Now, most of these are comprehension questions. So we do also have the comprehension questions.
Alvin the superhero.
Vocabulary.
Word builder.
I won't do this one, but this is writing words, discrete items. So, of course, discrete and global are important.
Complete the sentences.
Also, more focused on discrete and vocabulary.
Phrasal verbs.
I'll open this really
A
quickly.
phrasal verb consists of to run off means to leave suddenly.
Okay. Discrete, looking at specific phrases and what they mean.
Question words.
And then
What, why, how.
My favorite and how it
We
relates.
use different question words to ask different types of questions.
Okay.
We use how when asking about the extent or degree.
Okay.
We use what when asking for information. Asking questions. We can ask questions using the question words what, why, and how.
Okay, so this is for students to practice, right? I got all of these questions that I can ask to train students how to ask questions about what they're actually seeing.
Writing questions. Look at each.
So this is a really nice activity to get students to actually practice writing the questions, right? It could be good practice for you as well. How many questions can I write about this picture that's on the paper? I know I went through that very, very quickly. I just want to give you a broad idea of what else you can actually do with the program other than just do the story, right? In addition, you have songs, vocabulary practice, speaking, and grammar, thematic, and alphabet. These two are more of a review. Okay, let's go back to my slide. So, wow, it's the magic hour, 11:11. My time is 11:11. We're going to open up now for some Q&A. If you wrote a question earlier and I didn't answer it, please, 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 please feel free to repeat the question now. We still have about 9 minutes to answer some questions. So I would love to hear from you guys. So chat room is open and please go ahead.
All right, we'll take it from here, Alan. So everyone, we're actually encouraging everyone to raise your questions. All you needed to do is type your questions to our chat box now, and we will read it so that we'll be able to assess you and clarify things about your question on the workshop. So we're waiting for your chat in our chat box.
And by the way, I'm sorry about the error with the chat box earlier. I closed it for some reason.
So probably while we're waiting for
Yeah.
that, maybe we can do the survey, which is we are requesting everybody. A survey will be pop up on your Zoom, and just click it and answer it. So those who have questions, again, we'll be waiting for your questions on the chat box. So right now, as you can see on your screen, there's a pop-up message of our survey. So we would like to encourage everybody to fill up the survey form.
I have a
So
good
while
question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Alan, go
No,
ahead.
no, you go ahead, Angeli. Finish up, and then
No,
I'll
I'm
answer
just
question.
asking them to, while some are doing the survey now, some could be probably asking question. I think we have
Ah,
one question now, Alan,
yeah,
on
yeah. I have
our
a
chat
question.
box. After reading the story, when we ask students what's the story about, how can the teacher find out the answer from?
Okay, a couple things here I'll talk about. Number one, if you're asking a comprehensive question, what actually happened, make sure you know beforehand that you know the answer. So just reading the story, you should be able to pick up the answer. If you're asking a more reflective type question, you may have several answers that are actually correct. So if I ask the student, for instance, what would you do in this situation? There's not a correct answer, right? It's you can get several different answers that are acceptable. Now, if your student says, "I would stab the old lady," that's a problem, and that may be that's a different story altogether, right? But if you're asking a critical thinking question, you may get several answers that are acceptable. Or if you're asking students a creative type question, you may also get several questions that are, or several answers that are quite okay. So, yeah, if it's comprehension, make sure you know the question first. If, oh, maybe you're talking about those questions that we looked at specifically in the program. Those are more critical reading, so those may actually have some different answers as well. Again, when students are looking at the picture and just guessing what the story is about, that can have several different answers. Because I can look at one picture, for example. Let's just go back.
Are you sharing? I'll stop sharing, Ellen.
Oh, I'm not sharing.
Yeah, okay, you can share. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So if I'm looking at, for instance, this picture on the bottom, danger, keep off the tracks. I can say a lot of different things about this, right? I can predict a lot of different things. And it's not necessarily going to be the correct answer. Maybe I should go back to that first one. So here's where I predict the content, right? I can make up quite a few different scenarios looking at this picture. Now, the idea behind predicting is that it gets the students interested because they want to see if their prediction was correct or not correct. So why do we predict something? Is to raise the interest level of the students. It's not necessarily about getting a correct answer per se. You may also do something, depending on the level of your class, you can also use this picture just to review things like colors and shapes and things like that, right? With this, yeah, sure, definitely. Preschoolers can definitely do critical thinking, and preschoolers can be very, very creative. So yes, this is applicable to preschoolers. In fact, it's great if you can get preschoolers to start this practice young. Because what we tend to do is discourage students from being creative or being critical thinkers by moving them towards this testing situation, right? Which kind of kills the brain. Yeah, so definitely applicable to preschoolers. Again, you have to think about things from their level. You won't ask the same question to a 10-year-old that you would ask to a 5-year-old. But you can ask the student to look at two pieces of fruit. Which one is better? Why? And they say, oh, I like the apple because I like red. It could be something that doesn't make any sense to you because, of course, you like the apple better because it's sweeter, right? But maybe they like the apple because they like red color or something like that. So critical thinking for a 6-year-old is different than critical thinking for a 10, 12-year-old. Among the 6 C's of reading skill, which skill do you think is often overlooked by educators? Again, as teachers, we always ask comprehension questions. I would say 90% of the questions are comprehension. So in that way, we're ignoring all of the, we're ignoring the creativity, we're ignoring the critical thinking, we're ignoring character development. I mean, when you get into a literature class, then you start thinking about character development and things like that. But simply in an English reading class, we tend to just focus on the grammar, the vocabulary, and comprehension, understanding. So we're actually ignoring a lot of these or overlooking a lot of these things. And again, you're not going to do it all the time, every class, because we have curriculum to follow, right? And we don't have time to dive into every area, but it's good if you can at least do it a little bit, add it to your daily activities, add some more kinds of questions or add an activity that extends the story. If only this resource were also available in every school. I don't know that. That's the question for Anjali, and
Yeah.
she can answer this one maybe
We will
later.
answer that later on when we do the e-certificate form. So
Okay.
let's probably jump on to the other questions.
How do we do assessment requirements for primary level? This is out of range for today. I'm so sorry, but assessment is just a whole nother ballpark completely. I'd love to get into detail, but I don't think we actually have the time to talk about assessment requirements for primary level, unfortunately. Good question. I just don't think we have the time to do it. Yes, their level should be kept in mind. Thank you, Pratibha. Sorry, my pronunciation. Much of the lessons in language focus on teaching what? Very little focus on how the language might be put to use. Definitely, I agree 100%. Moreover, how teachers should make good assessments on students written, especially for adult learners. Well, again, great question. Maybe we can think about that for another session. I'd love to talk about it. Assessment. I find the current state of assessment has not changed in the last 50 years since I started teaching 25 years ago. assessments, most part, are exactly the same, and they don't really take into account all the knowledge that we've learned over the last 25 years are not really put into assessment. So I'd love to talk about it, especially for adult learners. I do a lot of adult teaching and assessment. So survey completed. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate your
Then,
feedback.
okay. Can I continue to
Subject,
share, Alan, while you do that one? Yep.
do which one? Sorry.
Sorry, the question, you're answering some of the questions still, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because some might leave and we have something to do first
Oh, okay.
after
Oh,
the
okay. Okay.
surveys
Sure.
for
Sure.
the
Sure.
e-certificate. Yep.
Sure. Sure.
So
Sure.
allow me to continue. So for your attendance form, we are sending right now a link for you to fill up so that we'll be able to process your e-certificate. So this will include the name and also the email addresses that you want us to send in your e-certificate. So please don't leave. Kindly fill up the form. It's being sent now by Miss Agustina. Uh, it's on our chat box. So just to let everybody know, upon sending it now, the form will be open only up until 2 hours from now. So you have 2 hours to fill up the form. It's being sent now. It's called attendance form. So the form is available there for you to fill up. And for those attendees who are here right now that doesn't have yet our program, the succeeding pages of the form, there will be some questions that you need to ask if you're interested in our program. Because earlier there was a question about accessing the resources. So you will be able to answer that in our attendance form. So while you're doing the attendance form, so thank you so much for those 192 who filled up the survey. If you haven't filled up the survey yet, I think it's still available in your Zoom. So you just have to click it. And right now, please get busy with the attendance form so that we'll be able to get the information for your e-certificate. So to continue, you may contact us. This is Agustina's number. You can screenshot this one. We are also live in YouTube, so you can screen grab this information if you want to get in touch and learn more about our program. All right. So just to let you know, the Time for Kids Singapore, this is our corporate social responsibility program, wherein we conduct storytelling, which is live on Zoom and also in YouTube. And then we also do teachers workshop like this one. And we are actually inviting you for our next month event, which is we're going to be having a storytelling on the 13th of September. So this will be 10 a.m. for Philippines, 9 a.m. for Jakarta. And also, we are conducting two series of workshop next month for the National Teacher Month celebration. So we have one happening on the 20th of September. It's again Saturday, so the schedule are here. If you're from India, it's 12:30 p.m. and Indonesia is 2 p.m. and Philippines is 3 p.m. And followed by another workshop in continuous celebration of the National Teacher Month. We also have a second workshop going to happen on the 4th of October, Saturday also, same time, 12:30 p.m. for India, 2 p.m. for Indonesia, and then 3 p.m. for Philippines. So I hope everybody right now is filling up the attendance form so that we'll be able to provide you your e-certificate. And it's actually noted also in the form, allow us 7 business days to prepare the e-certificate and we'll send it to you through email. All right. So we also would like to invite you. We'll be sending the group chat that we have from WhatsApp and also Viber, so you can be updated as well with other workshop activities that we're going to do, and also update you also with regards the to the e-certificate that we'll be sending to your emails. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm not. If there are any other questions,
I have a few
uh,
that I'll answer if you don't
Yep,
mind.
yep. Okay, yep. Oh,
Okay.
okay. Stop
So
sharing. You
first,
can go on.
yeah, firstly, would it be helpful for the teacher to read the story? Sometimes. With read it, I talked about the few ways you could do reading. Do all of them. So one time you read the story, one time get your students to read aloud, one time do shadow reading for shorter stories. Get them to read to each other, get them to read in groups. All of them are great because different students respond better to different ways, right? So if you're doing the reading in 10 different ways, for example, you're getting 10 different students or 10 groups of students that are responding better, right? So mix it up, mix it up. Don't always do the same thing. My other question I really wanted to answer is balance drill-based learning with deep learning. I would use this checklist, and you might even add digital literacy to the checklist if you wanted to, and just try to add at least one or two components to a drill-based lesson, right? So when you're doing a drill, ask yourself, are they communicating meaningful ideas? If it's not meaningful, how can I make it meaningful? If it's not creative, how can I do something to make it more creative? And creativity doesn't have to be a huge 50-minute project, right? Just do a 5-minute creativity activity where they're rethinking the ending or answering a creative type question. So just, you don't have to change your whole lesson, just add a little bit onto it. This is the first time I've used Fullen's framework, to be honest, but a lot of the ideas are things that I've been talking about or incorporating for a long time. So again, we're kind of used to the 4Cs, which were communication, critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. And then he's just added a couple on, which one of them is SEL and one of them is the citizenship. So yeah, the answer is yeah, I do encourage schools to incorporate some kind of a framework that uses these ideas. I think that's it. I want to say thank you to you guys because you really participated so much, which is really fantastic. And I hope that you got something out of it. So thank you and see you next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alan. We're going to be staying here while waiting for everyone to fill up the form. Thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. So we have only we have not completed the form yet. So we are actually 240, but we only have 150 filling up the form. So kindly fill up the attendance form because it's what we're going to use to send the e-certificate. So it's posted here. I will post again so that all of you will be able to see and fill up. If you haven't filled up the form, kindly fill it out now before we end this Zoom. Again, this form will be available in the next 2 hours. So if you haven't filled up the form, we won't be able to provide you the certificate. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. If you have already filled up the form and already done the survey, you have our permission to leave the Zoom meeting link. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thank you.